tulong, and SMC Global Power.
Good evening, I'm Alma Angeles, and you're watching Eagle News International. On tonight's headlines. The death toll from one of the most destructive typhoons to hit the Philippines in recent years rose to 389 today. A health official today reported that a fourth case of the Omicron coronavirus variant has been detected in the country. Heavy snow in North and West Japan caused traffic jams and flight cancellations. Dennis Liu will give us the details. First, the death toll from one of the most destructive typhoons to hit the Philippines in recent years rose to 389 today, according to the government, as disease outbreaks threaten some of the stricken areas. Typhoon Rai struck the south and center of the Asian nation on December 16 and 17, toppling power lines and trees and unleashing deadly floods that also left hundreds of thousands homeless. The Civil Defense Office in Manila raised the death toll from Rai to 388, with 60 others missing and hundreds injured. Police previously put the death toll at 375. Civil defense officials said more than 4 million people were receiving typhoon aid in 430 cities and towns, where about 482,000 houses were damaged or destroyed. More than 300,000 people remain in evacuation camps, with more than 200,000 others sheltering in homes of relatives or friends. And as the government rushed to bring food, water, and clothing to devastated areas, a new threat appeared in recent days, with at least 140 people falling ill from suspected contaminated water. 80 people were taken ill with acute gastroenteritis in the southern province of Dinagat Islands. Let's listen in.
Our regional offices faced reported 80 cases with acute gastroenteritis in Caraga, and at least 70 cases with diarrhea in Cebu and Caraga. Cases in Caraga were admitted in hospitals, while report from Cebu is currently being validated by our regional epidemiology and surveillance units. To date, the Department of Health and its regional offices has mobilized around 22.05 million worth of medicines, vitamins, family food packs and hygiene kits, water containers, and other commodities. The DOH and the health cluster members have also mobilized teams to Regions 7, 8, and Caraga to conduct rapid health assessment and provide medical, wash, nutrition, mental health, and psychosocial support and emergency response services, among others.
Meanwhile, a total of 284 cities and municipalities experienced power interruption in Mimaropa, Western Visayas, Central Visayas, Eastern Visayas, Zamboanga Peninsula, Northern Mindanao, Davao Region, Caraga, and Barm, while power supply has already been restored in 154 cities and municipalities. A total of 18 cities and municipalities experienced water supply outages and interruptions in Mimaropa, Northern Mindanao, and Caraga. Water supply has been restored in one locality so far. Also, a total of 371 cities and municipalities experienced an interruption in telecommunication services in Mimaropa, Central Visayas, Eastern Visayas, Zamboanga Peninsula, Northern Mindanao, Caraga, and the Barm. Telecommunication services have been fully restored in 115 cities and municipalities. Also, a total of 334 cities and municipalities in Mimaropa, Western Visayas, Eastern Visayas, and Caraga are now under a state of calamity. Meanwhile, Israel, always at the forefront of humanitarian aid and relief efforts, delivers assistance to typhoon-affected communities in Cebu, Bohol, and Siargao. His Excellency Ilan Flas, Ambassador of the State of Israel, discussed his vision for building bridges of innovation with the Philippines to weather the impact of the pandemic. Let's listen in. Several countries have extended their sympathy and their support for communities affected by Super Typhoon Rai or Odette as locally known here in the Philippines, through financial and humanitarian assistance. And Israel has recently joined in the relief efforts, sending solar powered energy, rice, food items, hygiene kits. So today, um, first of all, we would like to thank the Israeli Embassy in the Philippines for helping the Filipinos in this time of need. It's a well known fact also that Israel is always at the forefront of aid and humanitarian relief efforts during disasters and others like that. Uh, so disasters like this affect the most vulnerable. Could you please tell us or share with us your Israel's recent relief response to the victims of Typhoon Rai or Typhoon Odette? Share with us your experience as you visited the provinces of or the province of Cebu and Bohol.
Thank you very much. I have to say that even when we heard that the typhoon is a super typhoon or that is coming, we already requested from Jerusalem some funding and the authority to implement humanitarian assistance because it was expected. I mean, we expected a super typhoon, so we prepared ourselves, and for that reason, were able to deliver some of the items already last week on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Did a very quick process. Basically, we delivered assistance to Bohol and Cebu last week on Wednesday, which included the rice, ready food items.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's solar panels to generate electricity, a water purifying system, which can be operated manually, so you don't need the electricity. And we also actually had some more items already prepared, but for logistics, it
Mm-hmm.
was difficult to already to supply them, and for that reason, actually on Friday, we had a ceremony in Villamore Air Base together with the Secretary Martin and Danao and some of the representatives of the Air Force, where we gave over there some of the similar items. I would say the third package. When I visited the Cebu, I met Mayor of Talisay. I met the governor of Cebu, and I met different people. I went to actually not only to I went to deliver
Mm-hmm.
our, let's say, our humanitarian assistance package, but I also wanted to see how authorities and how people are dealing with the crisis. And I have to say, our sympathies, and really, I feel very sorry for the people who, towards the happiest part of the year before Christmas and the New Year, they were really, we were struck by the typhoon, and I don't think they celebrated Christmas so happily. And it was important for me to interact and to go out and to show personally our sympathies and that we really care for the people. I saw government is functioning and busy repairing working on repairing the damage, and there was a lot of damage both to infrastructure and to different services. So I saw the mayor, I saw the governor, other officials who are really dealing with the situation, analyzing, understanding where the problems, and giving different instructions to get the teams or the different agencies or bodies to respond, dealing with the prices of petrol that suddenly went up, encouraging the business community, which was already giving people places to charge the phones and giving them some connectivity. So you saw a lot of comradeship, a lot of support to each other within the community, and I saw people that are trying to find solutions to bring some to create some to bring some local solutions, and obviously at the same time looking on rebuilding again for the longer run and to get the systems back on track. But we saw the same. We saw the same thing in. We saw the same thing in Bohol, where we met the governor and again different officials. And I see there was, the moment we were able to establish communication, the communication lines were difficult but were effective. Um, I think um, I think I addressed most of your questions. Maybe just one more thing to say. We are also joining on a longer term.
Mm-hmm.
We are joining. We would like to get more involved in the health sector because we know that hospitals and healthcare centers have been damaged. And we're going to join Makati Medical Foundation. We're also open to working with other partners on this process of rehabilitation and building again medical centers. It's also an opportunity when you start rebuilding. It's an opportunity to build from new and to upgrade the systems. And it's also an opportunity to do some capacity building and to sort of to renew and to do it better than even it was before.
Mm-hmm. So, what priorities did you see, Ambassador, which needed really urgent attention as you and your embassies, diplomats, and staff visited the affected provinces? For example, displaced persons, access to first aid. Were there any noticeable aspects of the response mechanism which needed to be reinforced with the help of the LGUs and other humanitarian partners?
I think the first stage was really getting access to food, to water, to communication,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and really clearing the roads and having physical access to the different places.
mm-hmm,
Now I believe that this stage is now working on, well, it started from the beginning, but now less the issue of food. It is more of restoring the services, electricity, which will then they'll have also running water. So
mm-hmm,
electricity is very important, and shelter, obviously, for people who lost their homes.
mm-hmm,
And that's already for the longer run. And I think also on the social aspect, and people have, people, I mean, it's a traumatic event. So I think also on the social issue, it will be important to look at rebuilding communities, resilience of communities, post-trauma, so more of the social development aspects. I think
mm-hmm.
this is another issue which we have to look at. And finally, renewing establishments or institutions that have been ruined, such as I said before, hospitals, schools, and so on. I think this is also very important to look at. I know the humanitarian community is looking at it now,
Mm-hmm.
including of course, the government is leading those efforts, and it's very clear the president is all around the place, which is very important, and he gives a very strong message of support to the people. So the government is really responding extremely well, and we as embassies and as foreigners here, we're trying basically to support the government with its efforts.
Mhm. Uh, in emergency relief operations like this, do you have a timeline? Because of course, we can predict if there is a typhoon coming, but is there a strict timeline which is followed by aid and relief organizations like yours in their response?
Well, the most important time is the immediate response,
Mm-hmm.
but especially when you have missing people, collapsed buildings, and I think at this case, I think the immediate response was important more of really because there are still some missing people. So I think there was a quick response. I think the government had also done very good preparations for the typhoon, including evacuating people to shelters, which I think saved a lot of life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, about the next stage, which is more of now rebuilding and reviving the services, obviously here it is a question of doing this as soon as possible, but it really depends on each place, on the damage and what kind of work has to be done in order to revive those services. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think the immediate response was very good, and I think also now basically still the systems, government, aid agencies are doing the best. My impression is that things are under control. It's It's not like Typhoon Yolanda in 2013 or cases of um, big humanitarian disasters. I think here it is a humanitarian disaster, but I think it is well under control. But a lot of people
Very good.
still in need.
Um, how does the COVID situation exacerbate efforts to restore your timelines in these affected areas? Is it affected
Um,
your timeline?
when I met both the sort of governor of Cebu and mayor of Talisay, and it was still on Wednesday last week.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, the most important thing for them was really it's time of crisis. We have to deal with this crisis, with the super typhoon or that, to make sure people have food, have water, have energy, and this was number one priority. And other issues should not distract from the efforts. So this is, I think, this was very important for the immediate. I was asking about, for example, the storage of the vaccines,
Yes.
and I understand that from what I heard, there was no damage, at least to the best of the understanding there was no damage to vaccine. They didn't lose vaccines because of the storm, which was very good to hear.
Yes.
Obviously, it is so I think the simple answer is you have to prioritize. Number one, deal with immediate crisis. Number two, take precautions in order to avoid contamination and getting more people with the COVID. So it's a combination of the two. But the priority was to help people that have been affected by the typhoon.
Mm-hmm.
Israeli NGOs are also now active here in the Philippines, or the local partners in working with different communities, and the Israeli civil society and in the Israeli media, was a lot of coverage on the typhoon, and people are really not only worried but are interested to help and support the efforts here.
Yes.
So I believe that we're going to see some Israeli NGOs being taking part here in the longer term rehabilitation efforts. And I'm really, they will be coordinating with us with the embassy, and we think this is very important. So it is not only for the Israeli government, but also have the Israeli civil society join those efforts.
It's your second tour of duty here in the Philippines, Mr. Ambassador. How do you find it? And do you find it busier, more challenging during this time of the pandemic? Typhoon relief. Tell us more about your recent observations.
It is, challenging is a very good description. It is, it's a new reality of COVID. I arrived here beginning of October, still locked down. But I'm lucky, I think, that I'm experiencing the opening up since the big lockdowns, because the economy is slowly opening up and the shopping malls are open. So I am experiencing basically a better time than last year. But still, it's not the same Philippines, but I think it's not the same world. The world has changed. COVID-19 has changed the world, and we have to live within this new reality. But on the other hand, I have to say that I'm really, really happy to be back here. It is really exciting. The country has developed a lot since I left. Same people, I mean, the Filipinos are great people. People that are friendly, are warm, are open. And for us as diplomats, as foreigners, this is really a very big advantage coming to the Philippines, because so for me it's like coming back to my second home. Although many years have passed, I was here between 95 to 1998.
Oh, 1995 to 98. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a few
That's
years.
been a long time. Yes.
2 years ago, I was then the deputy ambassador here, but I had a very interesting time. And coming back here, it's immediately sort of takes me back culturally, and takes me back to those years before. Some of the institutions, obviously, in the companies are still here. I met a few friends still from those days. So it's really great to be here, and I'm looking forward. I've been here for almost 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of plans, a lot of ideas, and I have to find ways
Yes.
to implement them.
Yes, I would like to ask about the projects that the Israeli embassy is about to take under your helm, sir.
So I would say maybe I go back and just reflect that our relations in the last few years
Yes.
really moved forward, I think, dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
We had a visit of President Duterte in Israel 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago.
Yes.
And since the visit, we have seen relations really move forward, which as a result, the embassy of Israel here in the Philippines is bigger. We have now a representative of the Ministry of Economy,
Mm-hmm.
realizing that we can do much more in private sector engagement and getting more Israeli companies involved in the development process in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have a new representation office here of the Israeli Ministry of Defense,
Mm-hmm.
because of collaboration and cooperation in this sector. Israel is also a country which suffers from terrorism, and we have a lot of experience in dealing with terrorism and issues of national security, and we're happy to share and to contribute to fighting against terrorism here in the Philippines and helping promoting peace and security in the country. And for me, taking this to the next stage, I believe my vision is to see collaboration in the area of innovation and technologies.
There.
So
Yes.
I'm talking about establishing, as I would say, bridges of innovation
Uh-huh.
between the two countries, between Israel and the Philippines. Israel is a global hub of innovation. You've seen Israel, all the multinational companies are invested in Israel. They have either research and development centers or scouting centers or incubators. They have all kinds of representation in Israel, not only for selling in Israel, because Israel is not a big market. We're only less than 10 million people, but it is a source of innovation and technologies. So all
Yes.
the companies are there. Now, the Philippines is a country with a very interesting economy. It is also a hub to the region, to the ASEAN region. A lot of
Yes.
advantages in entering the Philippine economy. So what I would like to do is establish bridges of innovation where Israeli innovators can work together with their Philippine partners in developing technologies and innovation which would be relevant to the challenges here in the Philippines, because what is relevant in Israel is not necessarily relevant in the Philippines due to the different climate, culture, regulation, challenges. So solutions have to be adapted and developed locally.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the principles of doing innovation, of promoting innovation, I think it's something that Israel can share, and also getting people working together, thinking together, and thinking differently and very openly and, innovative in an innovative way. We can really, I think, introduce new approaches that will help different sectors in the Philippines, if it is on the agricultural sector, if it is on water, environment, climate change, medical, sort of there are a lot of areas of interest which I think Israel can get more involved. And this is really the top of my agenda. It is connected to, as I said, I want Israel to be more involved in the development process in the Philippines. So when I talk about development process, it's not only assistance during humanitarian crisis like we did now with the death, which I think is very important. It's part of it. But it is to work on long-term projects which will create more development and will boost the economy and the services to the society. I think agriculture is very important. public health, energy sector, water sector. So there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of potential, and it is the responsibility of myself as ambassador, basically to create those bridges, all of those links between Israel and the Philippines. If it is by governments giving some kind of an umbrella and some assistance through the Israel Development Agency, Mashav, and if it is getting private sector working together. And then you have the other components of academia, researchers, startupists, and so on.
Mm-hmm. How can we how can we adapt to the effects of climate change, since you talked about it as well?
Well, if I just bring the example of Israel, which is an example of a country which is, again, we have different challenges, but as an example of a country which was established in 1948 with big challenges of wars and the countries around us that are not accepting the presence of a state of Israel, but shortage of water, no natural resources, no energy, no gas, no oil, and very small territorial area. And what we did is basically with the human resource, people, we built knowledge, and out of those knowledge, we created solutions. If it is in the agricultural sector, how can you produce more with less? How can you have more products, more outputs with less inputs, meaning less water, less land, so basically much more productivity. If it is water management, if it is on the energy sector, to have an energy sector which is cleaner and more efficient. So the solution is by working on knowledge, on innovation, on solutions, and then obviously using those solutions in the field. And one of the secrets, I believe, is that you create an ecosystem. When I say an ecosystem, I mean everybody is working together. If it is government from one side, if it is the private sector, if it is the end user, so let's say the farmers or the consumer at the end, if it is the universities, and even the military. A lot of knowledge comes out of the Israeli Defense Forces because they have to work on modern technologies, and everybody gets together. And when we develop solutions, they're not just coming out of the academia, which is not always connected to what is happening on the ground. The academia is very much connected to the farmers, to the end users, a lot of investments in research and development. So when you work holistically and understand the challenges, and then what will be the solutions for those challenges, which are pragmatic solutions, which can be after that introduced on the ground, that are not too expensive, that are very relevant to the challenges. So it's kind of an ecosystem where all players are working together. And I have to say that what contributed was that Israel is a country which, as I said, with lack of resources and not enough funding, which is a reality in most developing countries. So we always try to find the solution which is not expensive. It's not the top-notch solution which is the most expensive, lucrative, and looks best. It is something which is very relevant to systems that can be introduced on the ground, which are not costly, which are affordable to the farmer or to the end user. So I believe this kind of approach is something which is very relevant for many developing countries. I think here in the Philippines, it is certainly very relevant. And what I would like to do is really introduce the process and the approach to the Philippines and work together in getting our ecosystem, basically working together with the Philippine relevant partners in identifying solutions, such as as I said, productivity of the agricultural sector. If it is on dairy farming, I saw a very interesting Israel-Philippine company in Cebu, working on water solutions. And it was very interesting to see that they brought in a way, the Israeli approach, but working in a Philippine setting. So it's an Israel-Philippine partnership. Philippine setting, Philippine partners, Israeli partners, bringing the Israeli way of thinking, the Israeli knowledge, and what we have accumulated in Israel, but then introducing it to a local structure to the Philippine needs, and it was really amazing to see how well it is working.
Well, Mr. Ambassador, Your Excellency, thank you for always answering the call for humanitarian aid and assistance, even in far-flung islands of our country. And Filipinos will always welcome Israel's humanitarian awareness and its your high standard of technology and innovation. We look forward to building these bridges of innovation with you as we face more challenges and discover more opportunities. Thank you for your time, Ambassador. But first, Ambassador, we would like to ask for your final message, or maybe a New Year's message to everyone watching you right now.
So I wanted to say for the new year, I mean, the Israeli embassy has sent support to Cebu, to Bohol, to Shiragao, and this is a message that the Israeli people are close and feel very close and have warm feelings towards the Philippine government and the Philippine people. We are friends, we are allies historically, and I would like to wish for the Philippine people to overcome the current challenges, and I wish all of us I would say better new year, sort of a new year which will come to us and hopefully will be better with more progress, more development, more prosperity, better services to our people, and I would say closer partnerships and cooperation between Israel and the Philippines.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time, Mr. Ambassador. We look forward to having you again. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Staying in the Philippines, a health official today reported that a fourth case of the Omicron coronavirus variant has been detected in the country. In an online media forum, Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeres said the case is a 38-year-old traveler from the U.S. Take a look.
Our fourth Omicron case is a 38-year-old female from the United States of America. She arrived in Manila on December 10, 2021 via PAL PR 127. She was quarantined upon arrival. On December 13, she had throat itchiness and colds, and a specimen was collected on December 14. When results turned positive on December 15, she was then placed in an isolation facility. She was discharged asymptomatic after a 10-day isolation on December 24. She remains to be asymptomatic as of this time, and she is scheduled to be retested tomorrow. With this situationer, I would like to highlight the following key messages. Nationally, the average cases remains to be lower in the recent week, and case classification is still at minimal risk. However, increases in case and positivity rate in the recent week were observed in the National Capital Region and 14 out of its 17 of its areas. These increases have not yet translated to increases in actual and pending admissions in our hospital facilities. The detected Omicron cases remain to be among international arrivals, but its entry is inevitable. We want to further delay its entry to ensure that local health systems are ready. We should minimize the local impact of Omicron by, first, vaccinating as fast as we can. We should prioritize our A2 and A3 to minimize the burden on our healthcare capacity, as they have the highest likelihood for hospitalization and deaths. Second, vaccination may lessen the transmission of this disease. Next would be to control case increases through immediate case detection, isolation, and contact tracing. Lowering case numbers means lesser chances for the virus to be transmitted and the chances for it to further mutate.
Meanwhile, an increase in cases and positivity rate in the past week were observed in the National Capital Region, that according to the DOH today. Also in this online media forum, the Department of Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergara noted that the NCR showed positive growth in cases in the recent week at 49%. Take a look.
In the National Capital Region, the daily cases in the recent week showed an increase of 38 or 49% cases from the previous week, now averaging 115 cases per day. This slight increase in cases was evident in the bar graph, where daily reported cases and the lines representing the 7-day moving average was on an upward trend. If we plot the historical positivity rate per region based on patients' address as of December 25, we have observed that the positivity rate across all regions remained to be less than 5%. Note, however, that in the recent week, an increase in positivity rate was observed in the National Capital Region and Region 4A compared to the week prior. The National Capital Region now has a rate of 1.5% versus 0.7% in the previous weeks.
Meanwhile, heavy snow in northern West Japan caused traffic jams and flight cancellations. The Meteorological Agency is predicting more snow and blizzard conditions until Tuesday. Dennis Liu reports from Japan.
And TV footage. Heavy snow in North and West Japan caused traffic jams, flight cancellations, and disruption to train services on Monday as record drifts were recorded in some areas. No injuries or deaths due to the freezing weather have been confirmed so far. Government spokesman Hirokazu Matsuno told reporters, warning that more snow was forecast for Tuesday. National Route 8 in the Shiga region was closed due to stranded vehicles, Matsuno said. Media reports said a truck had slipped on the road and TV footage showed a long line of stationary vehicles, although they later started to move. The bad weather is expected to continue until December 28th, according to the Japan Meteorological Agency, citing a winter pressure pattern with a severe cold air mass spreading above the archipelago. The agency also warned that low-lying areas on the Pacific side of Japan could experience heavy snow. Over the 24-hour period through 2 p.m. on December 26, Myoko in Niigata Prefecture recorded the largest single-day snowfall of 82 centimeters, followed by 72 centimeters in Daisen, Tottori Prefecture, and 69 centimeters in Minakami, Gunma Prefecture. The agency said Tokyo also had a light dusting, the season's first, early on December 26. It occurred 17 days earlier than in 2020 and 8 days earlier than an average year. Juji Press reported that some 130 domestic flights have been canceled because of the snow. This is the latest for now. Reporting from Tokyo, Japan, this is Dennis Liu. We live in interesting times.
Thanks, Dennis. And the news continues here on Eagle News. We'll be right back.
bawat Pilipino. Hangarin ng Northern Cement.
Ahon, bangon, sulong!
Pinalaki ng Northern Cement ang kapasidad ng kanilang planta para steady ang supply ng sementong tigasin. Northern Cement Max Plus, Supreme at Max Pro.
Ahon, bangon, sulong!
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba. Sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. May lalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa New Era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Welcome back. Malaysia's government was under fire Monday as residents accused it of responding too slowly after the country's worst flood in years. Many were frustrated with the authorities. Take a look.
We have two kind of feelings. One, we definitely will have anger because we were not being warned by the governments that the weather will be that serious and then the flood will be that serious as well. And then we also felt that we can't blame the government as well because these are beyond control by their side. It's like a natural disaster. So it's like
I'm disappointed with the politician, with the member of parliament, members of the state government. They don't come during the time of disaster. They only come 3 days or 4 days after the disaster started.
What difficulty we are finding here is actually in case we need to refer a case, there's no proper support to bring the patients out from here due to all these road disruptions and everything.
Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob has admitted weaknesses in the flood response but has pledged improvements in the future. Malaysia is hit by floods annually during the monsoon season from November to February, but the ones this month were the worst since 2014, and they have left at least 48 people dead and 5 missing across the country. Meanwhile, a Myanmar court today again postponed giving its verdict in Aung San Suu Kyi's trial for illegally importing and possessing walkie-talkies. Suu Kyi, 76, was due to hear the verdict on charges she illegally imported and possessed walkie-talkies, the latest in a catalog of judgments in a junta court that could see her jailed for the rest of her life. But the judge adjourned the verdict until January 10. A source with the knowledge of the case told AFP without giving details. Suu Kyi had faced 3 years in prison if found guilty on the walkie-talkie charges, which stem from the early hours of the coup when soldiers and police raided her home and allegedly found her in possession of the contraband equipment. Suu Kyi is also charged with multiple counts of corruption, each of which is punishable by 15 years in jail and violating the A UN official said Sunday he was horrified by credible reports that at least 35 civilians were killed and their bodies burned in Myanmar and demanded the government launch an investigation. 2 workers for a nonprofit group Save the Children remain missing after their vehicle was among several that were attacked and burned in the incident in eastern Kaya State. A member of the local PDF group said its fighters had found the vehicle Saturday morning after hearing the military had stopped several vehicles in Pruso after clashes with its fighters nearby on Friday. When we went to check in the area this morning, we found dead bodies burnt into 2 trucks. We found 27 dead bodies. He told AFP on condition of anonymity on Saturday. We found 27 skulls, said another witness who did not want to be named and who said there were other dead bodies that could not be counted. Save the Children said later Saturday that 2 of its Myanmar staff had been caught up in the incident and were missing. UN Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs Martin Griffith condemned the grievous incident and said all attacks against civilians and condemned all attacks against civilians throughout the country. Meanwhile, a handful of Myanmar nurses are hiding from the junta, and they've been running makeshift clinics to treat COVID patients and resistance fighters with medicine smuggled past military checkpoints. Take a look.
CDM လောက်တုန်းကဒီလက်ကောမှာရှိတဲ့ CDM တွေစုထားပြီးတော့ဗောနော်ပရာဟိတအတင်ဖွဲ့ထားတာရှိတယ်အမှဝင်လောက်တယ်ဝင်လောက်ရင်လည်းတိုက်ပွဲစားခါကြတော့ဒီဖက်မှာဆရာဝန်ရောကျမကြီးဝန်ထမ်းကအားနေတယ်လို့ဒီဖက်ကအဖို့ဖွားတွေကပြောတာပေါ့ပြောခါကြတော့ရနိုင်မလားဆရာဝန်ခေါ်လာပေးလို့ရမလားဆိုတော့တိုက်ပွဲစားချင်မှာကအရန်ခက်ခဲတယ်ခေါ်လာဖို့ခက်ခဲခါကြတော့စေအိတ်အရင်ရှာတယ်ရှာပြီးဆရာဝန်ရှာလို့မတွေ့ခါကြတော့ကိုယ်တိုင်တက်လာလိုက်တယ်ဟုတ်
A bird flu outbreak has killed more than 2,000 wild cranes on a reserve in northern Israel, an unusually high toll for the seasonal flu, according to the park's authority. In addition to the 2,000 dead, another 10,000 are believed to be infected according to Ohad Hadsofi, a specialist at the Israeli Nature and Parks Authority. The virus affects Israel annually, but this year's outbreak is much larger than previous years, according to Uri Nave, a senior scientist at the authority. Nave described the number of dead cranes as exceptional. Like every year, roughly 100,000 wild cranes reach Israel since October, most stopping in the Hula Valley, an important point on their migratory path towards Africa. The ministry has suspended egg sales from affected farms. It is rare for H5N1 to spread among humans, but there have been past outbreaks. According to the WHO organization, H5N1 has killed more than 450 people, mainly in Indonesia, Egypt, and Vietnam since 2003. And finally, in our news, the hit new Spider-Man became the first billion-dollar grossing film of the pandemic era over the holiday weekend, reaching the milestone while holding firmly to the North American box office top spot, according to industry watcher Exhibitor Relations. Take a look. Spider-Man No Way Home, British star Tom Holland's third solo outing in the widely popular role, has grossed $467.3 million in North America and $587 million internationally, raking in more than $1 billion over 12 days, and proving analysts' predictions that it could reach the milestone sum. It also rocketed to that benchmark at a speed only matched by 2015 Star Wars: The Force Awakens, according to the industry outlet Variety, and comes even as the rapid spread of the Omicron COVID variant casts a pall over holiday outings worldwide. Meanwhile, Sony's latest installment to the comic-inspired series took an estimated $81.5 million in North America for the three-day period over the holiday weekend, holding its top spot after scoring the third biggest domestic opening of all time with more than $260 million, smashing early estimates. With an estimated $23.8 million, Sing 2, Universal's star-studded animated jukebox musical follow-up Sing was this weekend's runner-up. It beat out two other new series installments, The Matrix Resurrections from Warner Brothers, which sees Keanu Reeves reprise his iconic role as Neo, underperformed at $12 million. In fourth place, also earning less than expected, was 20th Century spy prequel to the Kingsman films, The Kingsman with $6.4 million, Lionsgate's American Underdog, based on the true story of Kurt Warner, who went from stocking shelves at a grocery store to National Football League MVP, slid in at number 5 on its opening weekend with $6.2 million. And that's it for tonight's broadcast. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you back tomorrow. And at the end of the day, as I always say, there remains so much more to be grateful for. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times. Good night.
This program is supported by Northern Cement Max Plus, Supreme at Max Pro Northern Cement, Ahon, Bangon, Sulong, and SMC Global Power.